Hi, you're watching West Bloomfield 911. I'm your host, Tim Shepard, and on behalf of Chief Michael Patton and Deputy Chief Kurt Lawson and my brothers and sisters in blue, I would like to welcome you all to the show. Joining me today is David Ceci. David is director of the Oakland Police Academy. He has been a police officer for over 15 years, as a lieutenant for the Oakland Community College and a sergeant for the Los Angeles Police Department. David, thank you very much for joining me today. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And so I thought it was important that you came on today because the importance of our job is not well known, the variety of our job is not well known, and how to become a police officer is also not well known. People who research it sometimes will find out, but if you don't know, I think it's important that we get the information out there. So for you as a police officer, what was some of the reasons you decided to go into law enforcement?
One of the main ones, and it always comes off as hokey sounding, I think sometimes, is I really did want to help people. Yeah. And I always joke that I didn't think I'd be able to make it through medical school, so I thought police officer would be a good way to do it. Okay. Plus I liked the fact that the job would offer variety in what you do. I mean, and you get to interact with people, and it's even small department, big department, there's variety every day in your job. So I like that aspect as well.
Okay, and was there any particular person in your life, or was it just a avenue that you thought would be a great way to have a career?
It actually was an avenue I thought would be a great way to have a career. That really was it. There wasn't any one particular person in my life that was law enforcement, related.
Yeah, and I think that's okay. I mean, I think that not everyone has somebody that comes along that says, I'm going to inspire you to do something. I think that there's an innate thing inside of us, civil service-minded people, right, that helps us go in that direction. Now, excuse me, I know you're married, yes, and I know that, do you have children?
Yes,
okay.
3 kids.
3 kids, I have 3 kids as well. So I know the struggles of a demanding job, and you've had multiple positions, and we'll talk about that. But as far as balancing your life as a police officer and now a director of the police academy, do you find that difficult? How do you handle the two, professional and personal?
Well, it does help. My wife is a police officer as well.
Oh, she is?
Yeah,
okay.
She's a detective.
Okay.
So there is some understanding there. But I will tell you, it gives me an interesting perspective because I also get to be the spouse of a police officer.
Okay.
So it's a unique kind of dynamic there. I think it gives her a little perspective to help understand the hours that I put in and vice versa. The tough part is the kids because sure, I was working 2 police jobs at the same time, 1 full-time, 1 part-time. That took a lot of time. Okay. I was teaching at multiple police academies, so I had to learn how to really manage time and to gauge the kids and say, okay, they need some dad time, so sure, I got to make sure I spend time with them and make sure it's quality time. So I really focus on quality time with the kids. That's my big thing.
Yeah, as a father, I'm the same way. I think that our job is demanding, and my wife's a nurse, so
yeah,
similar.
Yeah.
I mean, she's not fighting crime, but she's also, her time is a lot of demand on her time as well. So you'd mentioned that as a police officer, so you obviously are a police officer, went through the ranks. Mm-hmm. I know that you left as a lieutenant, yes, which is a very high rank. As a patrol officer, was it hard for you to transition from patrol, and we'll talk about where you worked at in a second, but transitioning from patrol to command staff, what was that like for you?
It wasn't as difficult as it may be for some because the command officer and command officers that I worked under, they allowed me to, exceed just the patrol officer role, and okay, I took on a lot of responsibilities that would have normally been a command role because they trusted me, they were comfortable with doing that, so it helped kind of lead me into and prep me for the command position. But the more difficult part was probably some of the coworkers, smaller departments that I worked at. They, used to be working as a partner, right, and now I'm rank. But even that, most of them respected it and were excited for me, so it worked out really well. I probably had an easier transition than most going into command.
Well, good. And as far as patrol, so you worked at 2 departments. Can you tell me a little bit about the departments you worked at, the differences between the 2?
Yeah. OCC, the Oakland Community College Police Department, it's unique in that the community, while the students are there for 2 years usually, maybe 3, are transient. The base population, all the employees, you're with them every day, so it's a little different than working in the city where, yes, those residents live there every day, but you're not interacting with them on a regular basis every day.
Okay.
A lot of the employees, we would see them day in and day out, we would help them day in and day out, so it was kind of a unique aspect. It made the job a little more difficult than people might think, because sometimes you had to enforce the law with the people that you knew you'd be seeing
Sure.
in a couple of days, or that you might need some assistance from later on, processing something at the college.
Okay.
The city of Lake Angeles, small city as well, and it's strong community-oriented policing, just like the college was. So there was similarities there, but it's still a city municipality.
Okay.
It has more of those aspects of like you probably encounter West Bloomfield, where we're doing a lot of road patrol. We're not necessarily seeing the citizens on a personal basis every day.
Okay.
A lot of times it's when they needed our assistance that we were interacting with them.
Okay.
But they did have that community policing. Both of them were very strong in that aspect.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see that, obviously with the Lake Angeles, but as well with the community college. Can you tell me, as a police officer, there's 2 avenues right there we just talked about, right? There's the educational environment,
Right.
and then there's the residential environment. So people thinking of police work, they may not understand about colleges and about the police department there. They may think it's a security team.
Right.
Can you give me an idea of what the qualifications are to become a police officer with an educational institution? Is it the same as?
It is essentially
Okay.
the exact same thing. We might look for officers that exude that community-oriented policing kind of, friendly type aspects, but everything is the same.
Okay.
Because the job is the same. My 15 years at the college, and again, very low crime. I don't want to scare people from sending their students there.
No, sure.
But I handled every type of crime you could imagine, with the exception of a homicide,
Okay.
at the college.
Okay.
The frequency wasn't very high, but we encountered everything. So we have to be fully trained law enforcement officers, sworn in by the state, gone through a state-recognized police academy. It's all the same. We emergency vehicle operations, firearms. In the college, we do a lot of training with our officers.
Absolutely.
We train monthly
Okay.
in some aspect or form of law enforcement training, because we take it serious. Because we want to, we do encounter that image of it's a security force so we try to express that to the community. Look, we are sworn law enforcement officers. We take it serious. We train seriously. We're out there enforcing the laws for you.
Yeah.
But that being said, we still understand that we're at a college community, and we want to help the students, mold the students, work with the students, and encourage them and make them feel safe along with the staff.
Okay.
So.
And so we're going to, after our break, we're going to talk about the academy and the differences of getting into the academy and the avenues students can go to. But I just want to make clear to the viewers that once you go through an academy, which they may not know what academy is yet, and we'll talk about that, but there's a variety of avenues that you can go into. And obviously you've done that with the residential, or we'll say, I guess I would call it residential, and then the educational institution.
Right.
So I think it's important that people out there know that there is a difference, and there's a lot of avenues that they can go through and make a living and be happy and make a difference.
Right.
So we're going to take a quick break, and after the break we're going to get more into your role as director and what people can expect from a police academy.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to take a short break and return shortly with more West Bloomfield 911.
You're watching West Bloomfield 911 on Civic Center TV, a service of the Greater West Bloomfield Cable Communications Commission. For more information or to watch episodes on demand, visit civiccentertv.com/WB911. Civic Center TV, television that's close to home.
The West Bloomfield Police Foundation raises money to help those who protect and serve the community. Whether it's emotional or financial support, the foundation provides a helping hand to officers, their families, and those in the community. For more information on the West Bloomfield Police Foundation, contact Kurt Lawson at 248-975-8900 or visit wbpolicefoundation.org.
Welcome back to West Bloomfield 911. I'm your host, Tim Shepard, and again I'm here with Director Ceci of the Oakland Police Academy, and we're talking about the police academy, how to get involved in police work. And again, Director, thank you very much for coming in
Thank
today.
you for having me.
So we've just been talking about police work and talking about the different varieties of police work. And, you know, there's the residential, there's institutions, education, there's airports,
Right.
large cities, small cities. There's a lot of different opportunities for people to do police work that's not necessarily pegged into one certain little hole. So as director of a police academy, let's start out with, what is a police academy?
So police academy is, and they're regional, most of them, other than the State Police Academy and the Detroit Police Department's Academy, are regional training centers that are approved by the Michigan Commission on Law Enforcement Standards to teach a curriculum that is developed by the Michigan Commission on Law Enforcement Standards to train people to become police officers.
Okay.
It's a basic academy. It gets them the base knowledge so that they can go out there and get hired by a police agency, get sworn in, and then continue their training through field training programs at respective agencies.
Okay. And the Oakland Police Academy, and you kind of already mentioned this before, but I wanted to again bring it up. We're in Oakland County.
Yes.
So where is the Oakland Police Academy located exactly?
It's located on the Auburn Hills campus of Oakland Community College,
Okay.
just off of Featherstone Road.
Okay.
And that's where the main hub is, and we do all of our emergency services training at that facility.
Okay. And as far as, is this something that is free? Is this paid for? How does a student or a person who's thinking of taking law enforcement as a career, what's the avenue? What can they expect when they first come to talk to you or to your staff about becoming a police officer and getting enrolled? And what's the process? Is there a cost?
Yes, there is a cost. There's two general ways to get into the academy. It's either pre-service, where the person pays their own way through the academy, or there's in-service, where they get hired by an agency and the agency sponsors them, so the agency will pay for them to go through the academy. And basically, when they contact us, our first step is to say, okay, here are the state requirements to be a police officer in the state of Michigan. Like, for example, one of the biggest ones that I find since I've taken over that's eliminated people is colorblind. If you're colorblind, you can't be a police officer in the state of Michigan.
Okay.
Now, that's not true in all states,
Okay.
but Michigan is one of those states. So we go through that list about, you can't have any felonies, you have to be able to see color, and all those standards. And then from there, we set them up with an orientation date. They come to the orientation, we give them the paperwork that they need to fill out, and from there they set up a character interview, which is a panel interview.
Okay.
And then after that, there's a medical interview, which is another panel,
Okay.
and then they get their seat in the academy. So.
Well, I went through academy, obviously, and so I know some of this stuff, but it's always nerve-wracking to be in an oral board for whatever it is, if it's a promotion, if it's, getting into the academy. And I think that it's important that students know that it's okay to be nervous. And, if you come there with, you're honest and your intent is to make a difference and you really want to do that, I think there's an opportunity to get in. When they come in, say, for example, they've made it through these requirements.
Okay.
What can they expect from a police academy, and especially your police academy? The first day, you don't have to get specifics on exactly what your whole day would be, but what can a student expect is going to happen to them at the academy? Do they live there? Do they work out there? Do they drive cars? I mean, what can they expect?
So our academy, it's generally there's one weekend, but generally it's Monday through Friday.
Okay.
The hours are usually 7:30 to 5:30 or 6 p.m. depending on what's going on that day. Then we have some evening trainings as well, because we want the cadets to experience what it's going to be like doing patrol in the evening, traffic stops, all that. So there's some evening training as well. But it depends. The days vary, the weeks vary. Some days they'll be in class listening to lecture and going with subject matter experts discussing certain topics. The one they always joke about is Prosecutor Wednesdays, because Wednesdays we have the prosecutors come in and they get all law.
Okay.
Whether it's constitutional law, criminal law, all of it. So they experience a lot of in-class, sitting in the seats, listening to lectures, is one aspect of it. Okay. Then there's the practical aspect of it, where they're doing scenarios. They're learning how to do a traffic stop. They learn how to drive emergency vehicles on a higher speed type course.
Okay.
They have 24 hours of that hands-on driving,
Sure.
and then 8 hours of in-classroom on driving too, for the laws and knowledge on the laws for police officers. We do defensive tactics, physical fitness training. I mean, there's close to 100 hours of those combined, of physical fitness and defensive tactics. And then they have firearms, where they're in the range for pretty close to 60 hours they spend in the range. You know, so over that 17 weeks, it is a variety of book learning, practical learning, hands-on learning, scenario-based learning. We try to give them the whole gamut of the experience, so it's not all in the classroom. So they get, you know, it gets monotonous and boring sometimes. They get a lot of experience. Plus, we find that the hands-on training translates better once they get into the field. They really take something away from that to get that, you know, experience of doing it.
And speaking of the physical aspect, the defensive tactics, what can they expect in terms of being in physical shape? Obviously, as a police officer, we see different sizes of people, no matter what your job is, okay? And but what's the importance of the physical aspect in law enforcement, and why is it important that these students who will potentially want to be officers maintain good physical shape?
There's multiple aspects of it. The base one is to pass the academy, you have to pass a physical fitness test. And if you don't, and we've had people fail, unfortunately, for that. If you don't, you don't get out. So that's the base of it. But once getting out into the field too, you know as well as I do, appearance is important. People want to look to you and think that you can help them, and if they think that you're not physically fit or healthy, that puts that little concern in their head, like, can this person really help me? Plus, I just think overall our appearance is important. Our image in the community needs to really reflect the professionalism of what we do.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think that's part of it too.
I agree. And, you know, going through the academy myself, I know that, you know, academically I did really well in school, so I was fine in academics. Physically, I was a little later when I went to the academy, so I worked really hard, and you know, obviously I made it through. I enjoyed most was the firearms, and I think this because it was, you know, believe it or not, it was fun, and it was something that I wasn't used to. So as far as like the firearms training and things like that, do you guys have a range? Where do you guys practice your?
We have an indoor range attached to the same building that the academy classroom is in. So we do all the training in there. We do handgun, shotgun, and rifle training for the cadets in there.
That's awesome. You know, there's also a location at the Oakland Police Academy that is a town that's built there. Can you elaborate a little bit on what that is and what it's used for?
Yes, it's the training center for the CREST division of the college, and the CREST stands for Combined Regional Emergency Services Training. So this city is utilized by the fire training, the police training, the EMS training, all the public services, emergency services utilize this facility. And essentially it is a simulated city. And it's not just, some people might think about the cop movies where they have just the fronts of the homes and you go in, there's not a back to it just for shooting and stuff. These are fully functioning houses. We have 3 houses. They're fully plumbed, electricity, heating. We have a convenience store / gas station, a bank, which is exactly like a Bank of America bank, and we have a motel. So all of those are utilized by all of the emergency services for training, police, and they have the city streets so we can do traffic stops, building searches, going into residential areas for domestic violence scenarios, stuff like that. So it gives a real feel for the trainee. So they're not.
Well, I think that's amazing. I mean, I went to a different police academy, but we didn't have that, and I've trained there, so I know the facility in the location, and I think it's amazing. And I think it's really one of the most beneficial things, because academics are fine. I mean, I think we need to know laws, and we need to know how to handle these things and what's in the priorities and felonies and misdemeanors and all these things we need to know. But when you're out there on the road and you're going to a house, it's a lot different than reading in a book. So I think that's a wonderful part of the learning process and your academy as well. So just a couple more questions for you. In terms of what you're looking for in cadets, we talked a little bit about you know, no felonies and these kind of things. When you're sitting there across from someone, what do you expect out of them? Or what are you looking at when you sit there and you look at a young person comes in, or older person, anyone? What's one of the things, or a couple things, that you really pick up on? Is it an education? Does it matter how they dress when they come in? Is it?
The professional dress is important to me, but But I have to say, honestly, and again, I don't mean to sound hokey, but honesty is a big one for me.
Okay.
You know, everybody makes mistakes in life. So I've had people come in and not be honest because they're trying to conceal something because they think it's going to wash them out of the process and not get them into the academy. And I explain to them that that's not what's hurting you. It's the fact that you weren't honest about it. And then I've had other people come in and had some mistakes they made when they're young and say, up front, this is what I did, this is why it happened, you know, and I regret it and I made a mistake.
Okay.
And I won't preclude them necessarily. We'll talk about it, and oftentimes I'll let them get into the academy because I believe, you know, everybody deserves a second chance.
I agree.
And I have to say, a lot of times I've had other people on the panel disagree with my decision to take this person into the academy, you know, some of these individuals. And I have found that they have been the cadets who have worked the hardest,
Okay.
who valued their chance to get in there, so they didn't take it for granted. And I haven't had one of them yet not get a job. So
that's great.
So it's worked out well. Like I said, you know, I think that sometimes they appreciate it more. And I liken it to, and probably it's a bad way to do it, but the dog at the pound. You know, you get one of those rescue dogs, and they seem to love you more than than a dog you get from a breeder.
Sure.
But these cadets who have that little bit of trouble in their background that maybe another academy washed them out of, and I let them give them that chance, I find that they work really hard and they're really grateful for the chance. So.
Well, that's great. The last thing you know, we're running out of time, but as far as young people, I know our numbers are down with people applying, and there's multiple factors for that.
Right.
But what can you tell a young person, and that would be a good reason for them to get into law enforcement? But you know, I know that we want to help people, but is there other factors? The salary, is there benefits in terms of, now obviously you're talking about the academy, but this will help people understand what some of those benefits are to be a police officer.
I think that, yeah, the pay is decent, and some of the agencies have good benefits. But I think the difference that they will be able to make in the community is a big factor in it.
Okay.
And I don't know that you can always express that to them and translate it to them, but I think once they get out in the field and they do it and they see the difference, whether it's one person that they have a positive contact with and they see that they made a difference, they get that letter, or that letter gets sent to the chief saying, your officer helped me and it made a difference in my day, I think that is one of the biggest benefits for a young person that wants to do something in today's world. This job gives you that opportunity to do it. It really does.
Yeah, I agree. And that's why I got in law enforcement for the same reason.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's hokey at all to say that. I think it's important that if you're military, it's a fire service, if it's police, paramedics,
Yes.
any of those, I think that it's honorable, and you know, the youth of today should look at that and potentially want to
Absolutely.
make a difference. So the last thing I want to ask you is in terms of contacting your police academy. Is there a phone number? Is there a website? What's the best way for someone to start? And before you answer, how many academies are a year?
We do 2 a year.
Okay.
2 academies a year, and I have to tell you, our numbers keep growing.
Okay,
So
good.
we're doing really, really well. I'm happy about that. I like to. That means we're reaching out to these people.
Absolutely.
We're getting who we need. So we do 2 a year.
Okay.
Our next one starts August 15th.
Okay. And so when do they need to apply or get in, or is it too late for that one?
No, we have one more orientation on July 19th at
Okay.
9 a.m. at the campus, at the Auburn Hills campus.
Okay.
And they come to the orientation. That's when we give them all the information. We set up their interviews from there.
Okay.
But we have a website, oaklandcc.edu/crest.
Okay.
We'll get them to the police page. And also they can always call our office. It's 248-232-4220, and they'll get a direct line, and our administrative staff is very helpful. So.
Okay, wonderful. Well, first of all, I just want the viewers to understand that it's a great place you work at.
Yes.
You know, it's a great academy. There's a lot of academies in the state of Michigan, and Oakland Police Academy is one of the best. And it's wonderful that you came out today, and I
Thank
appreciate
you.
your time. And again, Director Ceci of the Oakland Police Academy, thank you very much. And for everyone else, thank you for joining this episode of West Bloomfield 911. You can keep up with the police department by liking us on Facebook and following us on Twitter and Instagram. You can also sign up for Nixle.com, crimemapping.com for the most up-to-date information from the police department. Thank you very much. Take care. Goodbye.